Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 8 of SNL with host and musical guest, Billie Eilish. I'm Catherine Coleman, and I am joined this week by Steve Finn, as well as comedic actress Erica Dieterich. You can connect with Erica at Erica Miranda. That's 2 A's on the end of Miranda. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. Enjoy these selected highlights from this week's discussion. If you'd like to watch our full-length, ad-free sketch-by-sketch review, you can find it exclusively at patreon.com/snlpodcast. It's our supporters that make this show possible. We are so thankful to everyone who's already come on board. All right, here we go. All right, after 3 long weeks, SNL's back, and after 2 long months, Kate is back, and she was everywhere in this show.
As she should be.
As she should be, right? We missed her. I know some people didn't. I did. So I was happy to see her face again. We got another first-time host. We've got so much to discuss, but first, I got to introduce everybody to my friend Erica Dieterich. Erica, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. Okay. It's between good and okay.
Okay.
You know, for 2021. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It is how it is.
Right. It is how it is.
Welcome to our podcast family, Erica.
I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited.
This is going to be fun. Erica and I are on a sketch team together called Wilburn. That's part of the Boogie Manja Sketch Collective. And we do have a show this Friday at twitch.tv/Boogie Manja. And she has also performed at Characters Welcome at the Squirrel Theater, as well as many, many, many other shows about town. You can pretty much find her performing anytime you want. She's always got shows. She's always hustling. She's so funny. And so, Erica, I've established your resume. You've got the sketch credentials, but we've got to know about the SNL credentials. The people want to know that you love the show they love. So just tell us a little bit about your favorite SNL stuff.
I mean, my parents, watched it when I was growing up, and I would just like join them on Saturday night, and I was like, this is really funny. Actually, the first time I ever watched it with them, they were parodying, oh my God, American Idol. And I thought it was American Idol, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sure. And I sat down, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I was just like hooked. I loved it, even though I probably didn't get half of the things that were going on. And then in college, I did my first main stage show at college in my theater program. Someone after the show was like, do you ever get that you look like Rachel Dratch? And it all went downhill from there. And literally every single show I have ever done, like theater-wise, somebody comes up to me after and tells me I look like Rachel Dratch. And I absolutely love it.
Do you take that as a compliment? Okay,
yes.
Good.
I love that woman. She made my type like a thing, and I love her forever for it. Yeah.
All-time favorite cast member, Rachel Dratch?
Yes. Definitely. I mean, I feel like this is a favorite among many SNL fans, but the Debbie Downer Disney World with Lindsay Lohan. She can't stop laughing, and the line she's like, I can't have children. I just like lose it every time. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's two of your favorite things, Disney World and Rachel Dratch.
Yeah.
And sketch comedy.
I love Disney. It's 3 things. Yeah. I love me some Disney.
Nice. And you also, you love Billie Eilish, correct?
I do. I was really excited when you asked me to do this episode, because I'm a very big Billie Eilish fan.
Right. You're our resident Eilish head. What do they call themselves? Do you have a name?
No, I don't know. I'm not like that deep into it. I've maybe only skimmed the surface, but maybe out of the 3 of us, I am probably the biggest Billie fan.
Probably, yeah. All right, well, we're going to call Billie Eilish fans the eyelashes. So you're an eyelash. And are we ready to jump into the show?
Absolutely.
Eyelashes first. Let's do it.
The church Christmas pageant needs some hip hop and a pimp walk. I loved this. As far as just like the writing goes, like if you read this on the page, you're like, this is okay. probably, you're like, okay, yeah, it's a juxtaposition of like the hip hop moves and like the nativity scene. That's fun. But what made this great, I'm gonna break my own rule here, is Heidi Gardner. Like, dear God, she sold the hell out of this. She gave it everything and made it work. Like, she is just the queen of repetition. It reminded me of an update character she had earlier this season where she just like 100 times said, "What if Spider-Man shot webs out of his webs? Shot peace out of his webs instead of webs? What if Spider-Man shot peace instead of webs?" And she just like did that 600 times, and it was so funny. It's like she just knows how to like milk that moment and milk that line for everything it's worth, and she did that with everything. Like, I Pimp Walk is the funniest thing. Like, I was crying laughing, and like I can't say that this scene has like a really great strong game to it, or like it's a very clever premise, but it's just Heidi being Heidi is so fun and enjoyable to watch. I loved it. And then she gave her all on that candy cane, and honey, wow,
Yes.
loved it. So Erica, are you on my level with this one?
Yes. What you there was a problem I had with it, and then you put it into words, is that the game I don't think was very strong, but yes, Heidi was so funny. And you could tell a little bit that Billy was a little nervous almost. And I loved that Heidi was just like, "Girl, I got you." Girl, I got you. And she got on that candy cane, and it moved a little bit, and I was at first I was nervous she was gonna like maybe fall or it was gonna come apart. And then I was like, oh no, she got that candy cane handled. We're good. We're good. We're good. we trust her. And then the whole repeating thing. I think that's such an amazing thing that not all comedians can do, is repeat the same thing and have it be hilarious every single time. So she definitely like carried that one for me.
Steve, where'd you land? Are you on our page?
Oh yeah, I'm on your page. This was a lot of fun. Very simple. We basically had a parade of silly things for each character to do. But I think you guys covered the real meat of that, and it was Heidi taking the charge, with Billy under her wing doing a great job. And for as high as this sketch was aiming, it's right where it needed to go. We got a simple payoff to a simple sketch that was just about having a rowdy good time.
Going along with that, I did want to say that even though like Billy sometimes needed that push, she was having so much fun, and I love watching people having fun. So like again, even though she's not an actor, she was highly enjoyable to watch in every sketch she was in. Because there have also been hosts where I was like, oh god, like this is painful. So I really enjoyed watching her, even if she needed a little push. Because also, again, she's 20.
Right. All right. So very, very high marks on the church Christmas pageant and Heidi Gardner in general. Let's continue where pity turns to surprise, turns to straight up fear in the next door ad. Erica, is this a win?
I laughed my ass off. I don't know if you have to bleep that out, but it was so funny. I was losing it. I wasn't, because at first I was like, oh, something's gonna be weird. Like Kate's gonna be like, Billy's gonna wish she didn't invite her over,
right?
But I didn't see where it was gonna go, and I thought it was so funny. I mean, the she's keeping me sick. I was just. I love when comedy goes a little dark, and so it was an absolute win for me. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, this was phenomenal. Like, obviously, like holding up signs across the alley is a great place to start for a parody, and then the turn got me. Like you said, we knew something was going to be off about one of these people, and then it was, are there any black people there? And that was already funny because we all have. I guess we don't all. Many of us have the racist grandma, right? And And so like it's like and so you start to think in your head like, okay, I can see a few places where this is going to go. Then it still continued to surprise. Like it really, really fully went to crazy town, and I think that this is just a fabulous example of heightening. It started so grounded and then got so wild. Um, so I sort of was thinking like as the writer, it almost felt like they were challenging themselves. Like you write a beat and you're like, okay, instead of this, where would it be 2 beats from now? And then they took that and replaced it with like the second beat. So like every beat felt like it was moving three, you know? So it was
Mhm.
just like felt really, really, really crazy. And
I love Crazy Town.
yeah,
Love
I
Crazy Town.
love it. I love that they reached those heights. So this was just really, really excellent. And I think um faultless. And Billy performed really well in this. Obviously, like I think pre-tapes can be a little easier than live sketches, but like she had like really good like subtle reactions and big reactions. Just wow, I loved this a lot. Steve, did you like it as much as me?
For sure. Yeah, and to speak on your escalation, what what helps with all of that, it was beautifully escalated, but also it started from such an authentic base.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think they were so successful in creating, before any humor was injected into it, an actual very heartwarming PSA that
Hmm.
would play just as you would want it to if you were to make one of these in
Right.
all earnestness.
Yeah, it didn't
Uh,
start in Crazy Town. Like it
yeah,
started so normal, and that made it even better that it got
no,
so
yeah,
heightened.
because I actually started tearing up. Like I love the Smiths, and that song
Hmm.
always gets to me anyway. And yeah, just how they told it visually, with her looking at the picture, it it was very effective. So to successfully capture that and then mess with it, that's what was so beautiful about this.
Hmm.
Now, what I loved about this is there was a couple of interesting things. I'm willing to bet that the notes were added in post. They were
Hmm.
not actually written on the like in camera. They were not written on those sheets. Like they were holding up blank stuff,
Hmm.
which allowed them to rewrite, I guess, after it was shot, and maybe not even write it until you got all your reactions. Like, okay, act like she said something weird. Ooh, we'll figure out what the weird thing she was later. I'm sure they didn't do that, but if they thought of something better, they had the freedom to change it.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's very impressive tracking with the notepads and stuff.
Also, I love just like the button on here of making it a next door ad is also hilarious and like a perfect blackout.
Mhm.
In a world where many people complain that SNL doesn't know how to end sketches, I think we actually had a lot tonight that had very solid buttons and blackout lines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
agree.
Yeah.
All right, so again, another one with very high marks from all of us. So let's get into our musical performance, where Billie Eilish performs Happier Than Ever and Male Fantasy. And Erica, did your girl give you everything you hoped for?
Um, yes. I her voice is so beautiful. And I remember when she first came out and she was this like weird 16-year-old with like this is her shtick. Like,
Mhm.
and the people that like didn't really like her, one of the things that I heard people say was how quiet she was. Like she's not like a belter.
Mhm.
Um, but, like, you listen to her sing, and I'm like, "She doesn't need to." Like, this is her voice, and it's
But
beautiful.
also I think she probably can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I think yeah. But, like, she I'm gonna get on my, like, Billie Eilish soapbox, but, like,
Get it, girl.
she just every song she does is so well crafted. Like, I think she's one of those like, she's truly an artist. She's not creating stuff she doesn't care if you like it. Um, she just is making a song, like, thinking about every part of the song
Mhm.
to make it a piece of art that she believes in, that truly, like, gives you a feeling, that makes you think of an experience. Um,
I think her and
so
Phineas are both like very intentional creators.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I loved it. I
Yeah.
gushed. She's great.
Yeah. Wow. 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 Like the first performance, especially, was just insane. Like I had actually only heard like snippets of the song because, if you listen to the last episode, you know that I've just been in Taylor Swift 10-minute all too well mode for since it came out. I haven't listened to anything else. So I've heard snippets of this on Instagram, but I hadn't listened to the whole song yet. So when it transitioned into the bridge, I was like blown away. I was taken aback in just the best possible way. And I started like rocking out with her. I mean, like, she knows how to command a stage. Her energy is contagious. She's always so creative with stuff like, and this like again speaks to like her intentionality and how she really crafts things. Like how, she had the walls and they opened to the audience and it was this whole thing. And last time she was on, it was like the spinning box for Bad Guy. Um and I loved that season in our like postseason wrap up. I said I named Billy like the best musical performance of the season. Um, and if it weren't for my previously mentioned undying devotion to Taylor Swift, who's there's no contest, she's already won that category for this season. But I think Billy would have it. This performance was to die for. I loved it. It ended and I started clapping alone in my apartment, which is not a thing I normally do, but it was like that much fun that I was like, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So huge, huge win. And the second song was also lovely, but the first one really, really blew me away. Steve, where are you?
I'm gonna say Billy makes some really great music for sure. She's super talented, and I'll respect any musical act that has a clear goal that they're trying to achieve. And I feel the whole Billie Eilish train is very decidedly directed in one direction, and yeah, it really amounts to something that just makes sense. I used to have similar thoughts about Billie Eilish with the volume of her voice. I used to confuse that lack of volume with a lack of power. I used to think she must sound like junk live. Like, how do you sing so quietly and like get amplified over anything? Like even like the quietest of pianos.
I will
But
say, as a singer, singing quietly like that takes so much more control than
yeah,
belting. Like
that's what I've
it like
come to
speaks to
learn
how good technically she is as
for
well.
sure. Yeah, and that's something I've learned to appreciate about her. And if you needed some kind of tangible proof, like just wait until the second half of that first song when she pretty much goes full emo. And yeah, the volume is there, the power is there, and you're right, Erica. It's the control that allows her to give her signature sound. It's quite impressive.
Awesome. So high marks on Billy. So I feel like we've all we're riding pretty high. Like I think maybe a slow start to the episode, but we're
Yeah.
feeling good at this point. These performances were really great. If you want to see our full sketch by sketch review, search for SNL Afterparty on Patreon or subscribestar.com. Let's get into our overall thoughts and ratings. Up first is Moment of the Night. Erica, what's your moment?
Oh, geez. It's gotta be the window, like the she is Margaret. It just was the cherry on top of the dark comedy cake. Like
Mhm.
it was, I lost it. It was great.
Yeah, that was a very final turn.
Yes.
A very excellent final turn. My moment, it's got to be either Pimp Walk or just Heidi up on the candy cane. And you know what? I'll give it to the candy cane because will say I messaged her last night on Instagram just to be like, this was fabulous, and she was like, I won't be able to move tomorrow. So like that extra level of commitment is
I love
fantastic. Like, yeah, that it doesn't look easy to do, but I appreciate how much she committed to selling it. So candy cane stripper pole. Well, and she did say pimp walk on the stripper pole a few times, so I guess I can combine them.
There
Steve,
you
what's your
go.
moment?
Great line from Kyle in his pre-tape. Right after Billy compliments him on his singing voice, he goes, "Yeah, the show never knew how to use me."
Yeah.
They don't know how to use me on this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they never knew.
that's
They never
funny.
knew how to use me on the show. But I don't necessarily think that's true. I think they know exactly how to use them. You know, how
Mhm.
often they want to use them is another question. Uh, but I love the joke either way because it was piercing and it was insider baseball, which I love, but it was also kind of self-deprecating and just acknowledging
Mhm.
a uh, a truth that's
Well,
okay,
it's
but
just like the thing that everybody that like really loves Kyle like says that like they don't know how to use him. Like, so I
yeah.
think it's just so funny to address that.
Yeah.
So that's my moment.
Very good. Let's talk about best sketch. Erica, what is it?
I gotta the signs. I was losing it. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely the signs in the window. The
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think they
top
called that one
notch.
Lonely Christmas.
Okay,
Lonely
Lonely
Christmas.
Christmas. Yeah.
I don't know, if we're going with like my favorite, it's gonna be like the Christmas nativity one. But truly, actual like best sketch is Lonely Christmas, far and away. Like it is just expertly written, perfectly executed. It is wonderful start to finish. So that is the best sketch of the night for sure. And so Steve, I haven't given you a choice. What's your best sketch?
Yeah,
Don't mess
well,
us up.
don't worry, because I was gonna pick it as well.
Good.
Correct.
It was the best sketch for sure, uh, for all the reasons that we've gone over. It was hilarious. It it captured the actual serious tone that it was harping on, so that it was successful in its execution of the setup as well as uh, the takeoff and escalation and all that. It was expertly done, and yeah, the performances were great, and I think the peaks and valleys of it all were really well sculpted, and yeah, there was just enough forgiveness after every little questionable beat. Billy would give a happy face, or uh, it would have a moment of calm before it escalated again. Uh, just just brilliantly put together.
Yep.
And yeah, just some good technical choices, like to actually do the notes in post, which gives you a lot of freedom. That was
Mhm.
very smart to do,
Mhm.
and probably why it was uh, so effective. Because if anything didn't work, they had the ability to change it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, we got a really nice sketch, and no surprise to me that gets unanimous best sketch. Not at
Yeah.
all.
Unanimous. All right. Well, let's talk about the MVP. Who are you gonna give it to, Erica?
You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna give it to Billy for
Oh,
for she just had so much fun. Like
Mhm.
she was just 100% game to be there. She was just authentic in herself throughout. And I mean, I love the cast members and they're hilarious. But I think like I genuinely was like, I can't wait to see Billy like in the next sketch. um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to my girl.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I attempted to give it to Taylor Swift, even though she was the musical. um. All right. My MVP. I think there's definitely an argument to be made for Kate. Like she's back. She's great. She was all over the place. She was wonderful and in everything. But I'm sorry, I have to give it to Heidi. She carried that sketch and sold it and made me love it, and it was just so, so, so good, and it was just so much her. just selling it and knowing how to milk those lines. And she popped up in a couple other things, but that would sometimes the MVP is everywhere, and sometimes they just make the one big play. And I think it's Heidi Gardner this week. Steve, who are you gonna give it to?
Well, I was hoping someone would give it to Kate just to satisfy the Kate box that is
Right.
begging to be ticked. It's the first time we see her this season. She's all over this episode. So naturally, you're going to want to maybe give it to her. I kind of want to give it to her, the MVP slot. She was all over it, and she seems rejuvenated, refreshed, batteries charged. It was a great outing for her. But I still want to give it to Andrew Dismukes, despite all that. And it's a strong feeling that I'm just not going to fight.
Go for
So
it.
here I go. Andrew, you win. Here you go.
Let's get into the big one. On a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck, Erica, how do you rate this episode?
I'm going to give it a great.
Fair enough. I don't know, I was tempted to give it a classic. So much stuff was working, and I felt like the writers really came back refreshed. I feel like everybody was doing a good job. There were so many sketches that were huge wins. But I think ultimately, like, the cold open and just that, like, not totally solid update kind of makes it's great. It's a high great, and it's a strong great, but there's just, like, those couple things holding it back from being a classic for me. But this was a really, really good outing. You could tell they had some weeks off. You could tell, everybody's ready. We got one more episode, and then they got Christmas coming. And I think we're probably in for another treat next week. So
It's Christmas.
yeah, this is a great for me. Steve, where are you landing?
Yeah, great is sounding pretty appetizing to me after watching this. Oh, yeah.
Unanimous.
It was a juicy, flavorful episode. It's deserving of a great. Even if like we didn't get the sketches we got, like they had so much stuff on the shelf ready to go, like another Angelo sketch and another Please Don't Destroy short. They were rife with content, and it's all really well put together. Billy was a great host, as well as a musical guest. There was just no aspect of the show that really sucked.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
we had to like watch a really good episode and then had to deal with some
Right, like usually there's
some
at
lowest
least
common denominator musical guest or something. There was
yeah, or
no
like there's one sketch where you're just like, it wasn't for me. Like
Yeah.
everything was pretty much working.
Yeah, I feel like I did not pay a heavy price of admission for an
Mhm.
enjoyable show. There was nothing that I had to live with. I'm happy with everything on the show. So yeah, maybe not classic, but great is pretty easy
Is
decision
great.
to make. A great is great to give.
Fair enough. All right, a unanimous great. Billy came to play. She was a very solid first time host. I think she'll be back.
Yeah.
Happy to see Kate back. Happy to see all of our little friends at the show. They feel like our
Our little
family when you
friends.
watch it as
widow
religiously as we do.
friends.
But yeah, so I'm glad we had a good time with it. Erica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you,
Yeah.
Erica.
Do you have any shows coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Well, it'll be over by the time this airs, but I have a show literally in an hour and a half
Nice.
that I'm running to right after this.
Nice.
Other than that, I am available. I desperately need my first co-star. I'm great, so cast me.
I'll put a stamp of approval on that. She is genuinely great. So put her
and
in all your
Done.
things.
I know, like,
You're
it's
casted.
it happens. It fluxes, but like I work so hard, and I want you all to know that. All of you listening and watching, I will make you money.
I'm gonna cast you right now.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
I gotta figure out what it is I'm gonna make after. But you're casted.
You can also
Great.
see Erica in our team's Boogie Manja show this Friday
Yes. Mhm.
at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Boogie Manja. I didn't write anything new this time. I have a best of sketch. that Erica is in. You're the voice of Alexa,
Yeah,
right?
I am the
Yeah,
voice
yeah.
of Alexa.
So it's Alexa mom mode, and
Now
Erica does a great
arriving
Alexa impression.
at Applebee's.
That's pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, so there's that. And then for me, the other team, the team that I'm directing, has a show this Wednesday at 8 p.m. You can catch that on the Lit Comedy YouTube channel. Steve, what are you up to?
Working away. I've just had a lovely week with Crosstalk on CBC. We did a lot of content on food insecurity, talking about how rising food prices and all that is affecting the bottom line for many families, and we're just putting out the good word to see what we can do to combat that. So it's been a lovely week at the CBC for that. It's called Feed First NL, and yeah, if wherever you are, if you want to donate to your local food bank or what have you, goes a long way to making sure that people in need can have a lovely Christmas just like anyone else.
Very good. What a great way to end the
Yes.
show. And that is a wrap. Thanks to Steve Finn and Erica Dieterich. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow. Your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in 1 week when SNL returns with host Paul Rudd and musical guest Charlie XCX. But until then, this has been episode number 149 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.